In this class assignment, we'll be working on getting the basic page and CSS page to work. This is a review to make sure that our HTML and things work of that nature. So I would probably start out with a template.html. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go to Save As. I'll make this bigger. And I'm going to save it as example 1.html. I use the template, yes. It'll be nice and easy. So in your title, you might also want to say, hey, this is example 1. And then we are going to do we're going to have a header or a heading and a paragraph. So if you want to go ahead and put in the body area, and I'll make this bigger. In the body area, of course, you're going to want to put, remember we had some of those other structural things that we added later on. So you're going to want to put header here. And in the header, it's going to be an H1. And we're just going to put example 1 CSS assignment if you want. This is for us just to practice not only just some of those basic H1s and basic structures. You're going to close this header out. Header is just a structural section. We can divide it up. It's okay if you didn't have it, but it's definitely something that you guys want to get accustomed to. We don't have any navigation bars, so you can always skip that.
You're not supposed to be doing that.
You gonna try this? Try this, you can.
Yep, you can.
How was your pregnancy?
Good.
Last week?
It was long at first, and all of a sudden it was done, and I'm like, oh.
That's exactly how I felt. It's like love. Nothing to do.
Was yours good?
Yeah.
Did you go anywhere?
No, I stayed here, but I had fun.
Well, that's good.
A lot.
It was warm.
It was fun. I got like hella time.
Well, yeah, one day it was like, what, almost 80 degrees?
72.
I'm like, suckers, went to Florida. It's just nice here.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you guys have your header. Then we're going to have, after the header, we're going to have a paragraph, and you're just going to say, this is my example 1 assignment. I think I have something more specific actually in the assignment, but it's okay if you don't. I think I had something like, this page will show basic CSS, and you can do that. This page will show basic. Now move this up, guys. CSS. And then you're just going to close that out with a \p. Pretty basic stuff. Kind of a refresh again. We have our H1s to be our largest heading. We have a paragraph that's describing our page or has some information. We're using the same type of format that we've used in the past. We don't necessarily have a footer, so I'm not going to make you guys do that. And we're not talking about divs or sections in our page as well. We're just going to start basic again this week, work our way up. I know after a long spring break, it can be hard to concentrate. So it's hard to even be here sometimes, right? It's the way I feel. I know this morning I was like, man, if my head wasn't attached to my body, I'd probably have lost it just because I couldn't keep a thought. Anyway, so make sure you guys that the colors look right in terms of nothing looks out of balance or where you have some weird color, because usually that tells you that something's not right. Like you have your opening and closing tags, all of those things. All right, next after that, you are going to go all the way back up, and we're going to go and look between these two head tags. So head, again, remember, is different than header. Header just means like the section that you're going to have your H1s or things like that that are actually going to show up in your page. Head is the thing that's going to actually be above the body. So think of like your head and your body. And that is stuff that doesn't really show up on your webpage. Those are kind of like the back information. And so in this head area, I don't care if you guys go above the meta or if you go below here. You definitely want to make sure that you give yourself some space in the head area. Nate, are you 11th grader?
Yeah.
Did you do all the stuff already, the prepping stuff? Okay, you guys are just making your way back? Awesome. Well, welcome back. So in this head area, guys, I'm gonna put it underneath title, but you definitely want to make sure it's between the head and the / head. And this is where we're gonna link our CSS page that we're going to create. So we're just doing a link, and it doesn't matter which order you put this. I'm used to pretty much doing like link and then rel, R-E-L, equals, quotation marks. This is a style sheet, all one word. Then you're going to have type equals, quotation mark, text / CSS in quotation marks. And then you're going to have a space, and you're going to have an H, ref, R-E-F, equals. And then you're going to create some CSS name. And so I would probably just put example 1.css. And then I can send this to, I'm going to post this actually. I'm going to keep this up, guys, and I'm going to cover it up just slightly because I'm going to email it or post it at Schoology so these people have it. So Nate, if you don't have it, and yep. And sorry. Nate and Evan, you guys can pick this up right in this assignment, and I'll show it to you in just a second. So Nate and Evan, if you guys want to pick up the HTML that I just did, you can always download it from for example 1 CSS assignment, and that's going to be right in Schoology. Yeah. Sure. Yep. Oh, it's not the right charger?
No, it's not the right charger.
I know. So again, link rel style sheet type text CSS, href example1.css. We just took something from our template and just added, hey, this is just going to be our example. We're just going to link our CSS to our HTML. We're going to practice so that way I don't have to keep on looking up here. I will know it. It's going to be burned into my brain for all eternity, at least for hopefully the next, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 6, 7 weeks. You guys, well, for seniors, the next 4 weeks, not even. So that's crazy. Crazy talk. Well, would it be a surprise if I said yes?
Yeah.
I'm sure you would. Oh, and then you need a closing caret, guys. I'm sorry. I forgot to close that out with a caret. So this line right here on line 10 is what is going to really let you link your HTML to your CSS. So if you don't have this right, you're going to know right away once we create our CSS. The rest is just content. So whether you just put, hey, this is example 1 just because Miss B told me to write something in there. You do need some text, probably. just to make sure. We're just, again, practicing. You're going to want to make sure you're going to save. As we wait for people to catch up, you guys can load it in your browser if you want. So I'm going to just slightly move this over. Sorry, folks. Yep. Like there. Okay. You'll want to load it up in your browser as well.
Do you know why that's highlighted?
Will be just in a closing paragraph.
Right here.
Yep. A greater than sign. Oh, wait. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
There.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right, guys, once you have that, I'm just going to load this up to make sure my page actually has a example one assignment, whatever. So I'm going to open this. Oops. Open this up. And what did I say this was? This was example. Thank you so much. All right, so it did work. I don't have a CSS yet, but at least I have the content. And that's what really, it's important to kind of follow those steps. If you're wondering, like, are things working? If something's showing up, you know something's working, at least your HTML. If nothing's showing up, it means you're accessing the wrong things, and you just need to double check your work. Yes, Jacob, question. While we do this, you guys want to save this work and then open up a new file?
Were we supposed to say this is HTML?
Yes, .html. Yes.
Oh.
What is that?
Dude, don't worry about
So folks, in this, you got it to work, which is hopefully you got everything to load up. This is a good practice for you all. Then what you want to do is you want to open up a new file. So it doesn't mean you close out the old one, just means you create a new one. Here you're going to do a body, curly bracket, and this is where we're going to have our background color. So background dash color, and you're just going to pick a color. I don't care if you guys want to get fancy and find a hex code, which we can do in just a second, but I'm just going to pick the color red because I go with the obvious, and then I do a closing curly bracket. Once you figure out, like, hey, I got this, it looks all right, I'm going to save this. So I'm going to go file, or sorry, I'm going to go to save as. I'm going to make sure it's in the same folder as my example.html. I'm going to call this example1.css. Save. Nice thing is it makes everything pretty color now. And then hopefully if I refresh my page, it now turns the color that I said it was. And guess what? It worked. So small satisfactions in life, I guess. But that's all I really want us to focus on is just remembering those basic, some of those skills that we had. So again, Evan, you can go to Schoology if you want, and I have it. If you go to 4, example 1 CSS, it's an assignment on the left-hand side, I believe, or right-hand side, I believe. And then you can get that, pick up that file if you want. So again, you can do body, background color, red. Red is just a designated color. You guys can pick green, blue, yellow, orange, any of those basic colors you can write actually in words. If you want to get fancy, again, you guys can go and search hex code, HEXCODE. And there's a million hex codes that you can pick up. So if you're somebody that's like, I usually use HTML color picker, and you could bookmark this, and you can pick any color. So let's say I want to pick this neon green. It will give me a code. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll see these hex codes, which are the hashtag 66FF33. It's actually 6 numbers or 6 characters with a hashtag. You can just copy and paste those and always put it in that way. So if you don't like to use basic colors, like red, green, blue, yellow, and you want to jazz it up, you are more than welcome to. But that's how you do this. So again, CSS is kind of a cousin of HTML. They work together. They have very similar parts, or in terms of they're related in terms of it uses the word body. So body here translates to the body tag in HTML. They just do it slightly different. So now instead of the greater than and less than sign, it uses the curly bracket. So I'm going to save this again, and I'm going to refresh my screen. Hopefully it now works. Not only with body, you can do this with anything. So I could also say, hey, my H1 curly bracket, I'm going to now make that font a color. So I just use the word color, and then I might make it, I don't know, blue. And then a closing curly bracket. You have to have the opening and closing curly brackets to designate, hey, this is the beginning and the ending of the H1, the beginning and ending of my body instructions, things like that. Yep.
So you just call it out by like it's also the one that
Yep. So if I put P curly bracket into color, I could do, let's say I want it to be purple. And, oh, purple might not be registered to that. So you might do, let's say, red. There. Like that. So another thing with this, guys, is there an ask? Like, can you add color? Can you add background color? Yes. Body, you have the body between the body tags. It's going to be a background color. If you want your paragraph, or let's say you want your H1 to also have a background color, you can do that. So I can make my H1 a background color. I could put background dash color, and maybe I want it to be white. And now it's going to put a block around my H1 and make it a separate color. So you can do background colors. As I said before, like H1s and paragraphs are block elements. Now you can actually see the block, the invisible block that I always said, where it gives you space above and below. This now shows you that there really is an invisible block because it gives you a separate color just for those H1s. You could do the same thing for paragraphs. We can do padding, which means padding gives us around that quote unquote block, will give us space around that. So there's that. We can also do, before we went on break, we talked about borders. So for example, with my H1, I can do a border, which is border, colon. It's going to be however many pixels or thick I want it to be. So usually 3 pix is a good starting point. You can determine if you want it bigger or smaller after that. After that, you're going to do what kind of border. So we only went through a few things. There was solid, there was double, there's dotted. There's more, and I'll give you guys, when we start talking more about divs and doing more styling, I'll give you a cheat sheet for that, and you guys can have that. But you'll have, like, let's say you want solid. And you'll actually just put solid. And then the color of the border. If you want it to be blue as well, you could do blue. Then you do need a semicolon after that. You'll need spaces in between. But in order for a border to show up, you need pixels, you need what kind of border it is, and you need what color it is. So now you can have that. If you don't like solid, you can do dotted. So instead of solid, you can actually use the word dotted. and it will do a dotted one. Or there's double. And you don't just have to necessarily do that with the H1. You could do that with a paragraph. So maybe I want to border around my paragraph. And I'm going to make that a double. Now, it's not going to be pretty, but at least it will, you can see how it works. So now I have a solid. Maybe white's not the best. Maybe I should do black so you can see it better. And instead of 3 pixels, maybe I'll do 7. You can see this a little bit. But this is how you can show some of your styling. And this is just basic. Like I said, we're not necessarily doing anything fancy or pretty, but you're definitely doing something like this. And then I've got you for a few more minutes before the next group switches over. You guys are going to put a picture in this. Let's go ahead and just refresh our memory with a picture. So for a picture, I'm going to go back to my HTML. I'm also going to go and open up my browser and find a picture. Somebody give me a topic to find a picture. Pigs? Rats. Rats works. All right, so I'm going to find an image. I'm going to pick this one right here because he's cute. I'm going to right click. I'm going to save image as. I'm going to save it to the folder that my files are in. So you're going to save it. I'm going to save it to my web A folder because that's what class this is in. I'm going to call it rats. It's sometimes nice to know what you, or to have an idea of what you saved it as. So I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to do an image. To do an image, guys, are you ready? I'm going to put it underneath. It's going to be img src equals. It's going to be rats dot, I think mine's a JPEG like this. And I'm just going to close it out. If I want to change the size, I can do that later. But I'm going to go back to my page and hopefully rats show up. There you go. So again, it's img src quotation marks, the name of the picture. Once you guys have this done and your picture shows up and you've got some CSS work, meaning you've got some colors, you've worked on the coloring of your stuff, what you guys are going to do is you're going to submit this assignment. I know I have another assignment for Monday, but we're not going to get to it today, so we'll work on it tomorrow in class. If for any reason you're not going to be here like for testing, I will put videos in. I would strongly encourage you to try to keep like track with the class. I get that it will be hard because you're not going to be here. Nice. You're not going to be here. And so if you fall behind, that's fine, but the videos will be available for you. So my 11th graders, all the assignments will have videos that will walk you through everything, okay? It's just a matter of, because there's only, well, there actually are quite a few. We'll see how far we get. Also, if for any reason you come down with COVID, please let me know right away so I will be able to give you some videos and expect you to Zoom in with us. Unless you are like sick COVID and not just quarantine COVID. If that makes sense. But this needs to be handed in. So, because I probably, I don't know. Was it example 1, CSS?
Yeah.
Yep. So you guys are going to hand in both of these files, your HTML and your CSS, please. And then the other one that said shoes, don't worry about that. We'll get to it tomorrow. And then I believe you guys are going to either, you're probably going to need to go to the lab area or not be here. You can't be in the halls. Thanks, guys. Hey, would you guys mind propping that door open again? That would be wonderful. Thank you. I know, they were really loud. Don't forget your drink, Darren.
Thank you. Have a good day, Miss B.
You too. guys. Long day, huh? Already? What?
We don't know what difference it makes